Let's get back to our guest host, Bill George, who is professor of management practice at Harvard Business School and former chairman and CEO of Medtronic. And Bill, we set up the tease that you had some ideas about who you think should be running Microsoft. Why don't we start there before we get to activist investing?
Well, first of all, I was struck with Bill Gates' emotion yesterday. And I couldn't tell if that was for the company or for Steve Ballmer. My own view, time for Steve to move on, 10 years was probably enough, 14 was too much. And the company now needs a total transformation. So normally I like internal promotions. I think they have to go outside. I think the internal candidates are just names being floated right now. My favorite candidate was Sheryl Sandberg. Nothing happening there. She's probably turned it down, but she would have been terrific. And so a lot of talk about Mulally. I have the greatest admiration for Mulally. I think Alan's arguably one of the top CEO in the United States today. He's not a tech guy at all. He's 68 years old. Could they get 7 years out of him to 75? But it needs that kind of time. You can't come in there.
Are you coming out in favor of Mulally? You think he's the greatest CEO, but he has no tech experience. Do you think that he's the right person to change things at Microsoft?
Given the paucity of candidates, and if Stephen Elop is the alternative, I'd take Alan. And I'd make sure he was team with a tech guy, maybe a COO.
You got yearly physicals?
Pardon? Yeah,
he's a young guy. You just said you don't know if he can last 7 years.
No, I said I don't know if he will last 7. He can live 7 years, but I want to make sure he has the energy.
They could get 7 years out of him.
I absolutely. I mean, let's face it, 70's the new 50, guys. So.
It is.
And he's got a lot of energy, and I think, look, this guy will build a team, and I have a lot of confidence, and he'll build a successor. I don't want to see him leave Ford, honestly, because that company's job's not done, but he does have Mark Fields there. So he's got a successor lined up. He'd do the same thing in Microsoft. But Ballmer did not. So shame on Steve for not having a successor. See, I never saw Kevin as a successor. Kevin's a very nice guy. But he's not the successor. This thing needs a total reshape. And you got to have somebody come from the outside that can have a vision. Where are we going to go? And as Mulally says, a plan.
Tease us very quickly. We only have about 30 seconds before we have to go to a break. We'll talk more about activist investing later. But is this the scariest thing out there right now for any CEO or any board?
Yeah, they're all worried about it. I mean, if the CEO Procter & Gamble has to resign, if you can go after Apple, the world's most valuable company, yeah, everyone's concerned. I don't know any CEOs that aren't thinking about it. I've got some ideas about how to deal. I don't know anyone's not thinking about it.
It's really the talk.
Absolutely. May not be the talk on CNBC, but sure the talk privately. Yes, absolutely.
We're going to talk more with Bill George about this in the next hour. He is our guest host, and he's got a lot of strong thoughts about this.
Okay.